So, my topic is failing forward. First off, by a show of hands, how many of you have ever failed in your life at something? All right, well, good to hear that everyone in here is normal, so that's awesome. Failure is a part of life. So, I wanted to talk about this topic because not too long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I had my first round of midterms, and I think I gave some speeches regarding that. And then, needless to say, it did not go very well. So I was very devastated to hear that. I remember getting out of my chemistry exam. I walked out and I called my mom, and I'm trying to go to dental school. So I called her, I'm like, Mom, dental school's not gonna accept me after this. And so I was like, ooh, that's rough. But then I thought about it more, and I was like, well, a test doesn't necessarily measure my capabilities. It just measures how I did at that exact time and what I did in that time pressure, whatever. And I know during my chemistry test, even though I knew a lot more in my head, I just freaked out on the exam. So that wasn't an accurate attestment to my knowledge. So I was like, okay, fair enough. And I got my accounting midterm back, and I was like, ooh, that was rough too. And because it's the very first exam for the teachers, so I'm still trying to learn the ways of how they test and like what to do. So I was like, okay, I gotta give myself some slack here. Then that week, there was this event going on at UW called Failing Forward. And I was like, phew, I need that. Like, I really need this. So I got a few of my friends and we went to the event. And pretty much what it was 4 different speakers that talked about 4 really successful teachers here at UW that talked about how they got to their path today. So I just want to give you like maybe 2 examples of what they did that made me feel better about myself. And I'm like, there's still time, I'm okay. So one of them is his professor. He's a biology professor here, and he wrote a book that now has sold over 500,000 copies all over the world, and it's been translated in many different languages. So needless to say, he's very successful. But what he did to tell his story is that he had the MC read out every line of his biography. You know how when you write your biography, you say the best possible things you've ever done. You're not going to be like, Jackie got an F on her exam, Jackie failed at everything in her life until this. No. You don't put that stuff. You put your best stuff out there. So that's what he did. So it was really cool because like the first sentence was like, this guy, he's been doing research in this lab for 2 years out of his 6 years at UW. And then he would go and tell you the truth about what happened. So then he was like, yeah, that's true, but what you didn't know is that 4 of those 6 years I was actually unemployed, and my family was living on food stamps, and I was also juggling 3 different jobs to be able to get there. And I was like, whoa, what? Like this guy, he's written a book that's been translated in many different languages, and he was struggling like this. And then it went on, and it just talked about how he never thought he was succeeding. It always felt like he was failing. But eventually, he got to where he is today because he didn't just let failure get to him. He took it to heart and he kept trying, and that's what led him to be successful. One more example is of this other person. He's now one of the top dogs here at UW Medical Center. So needless to say, he's very successful as well. But he told a story about how he started off in Washington, D.C. He grew up in not the best neighborhood. People always told him like, hey, I don't think this is for you. I don't think academics is for you. I don't think basketball is for you. I don't know if being a doctor is for you either, because he did so bad, and all the teachers kept calling him into his office and being like, I don't think this is the right path for you. But one day, what he realized is that you can't listen to the haters. Like, they don't know you. They just know what they see superficially. So maybe that one interaction where you meet them, you piss them off. They're like, I don't think this is for you. But that's not an accurate attestment of who you are and what you're capable of. So then, after that, he figured his stuff out, and he eventually went to Harvard and then became a doctor, and then now he is at UW Medical Center. But none of that would have happened if he had listened to those haters and listened to what they told him and believed what they said. He just stopped listening and focused on his own goal, and he eventually got there. And I thought that was really cool. And then looking back after the event, looking on my life, I was like, wow, 1 or 2 or whatever, how many tests, that's not going to affect who I am, because the most powerful thing is to be determined. And what I realized though is the biggest failure you can ever have in your life is to give up. if you give up on what you're doing, that's the biggest failure that you can have. But in all other failures, if you have a failure, you have to fail forward. You fail, you learn from your mistakes, you get better. You fail, you learn from your mistakes, you improve. That's the way it should be. So I want to tie this in to you guys and like life right now. So think of a time when you have failed. Now, what I want you to do is think of some kind of motto that you're going to tell yourself if you're failing, that you're going to take to heart, whether it's a key word, a motto, a phrase, whatever. For me, to give you an example, I came up with this like yesterday, which is, it's the little things that make a big difference. It's the little things that make a big difference. And for me, that applies because that test that I took for accounting, all those little stupid mistakes made a big difference in my test. But on the flip side, all the little things I've done in my life, whether it's I've worked extra hard on the assignment, got me that extra opportunity and allowed me to be that much more successful. So that's my motto. So every time I'm stressed, I'm going to try to be more detail-oriented on my test, take it slow, worried about the little things that make a big difference. So I want to encourage all of you to think of something too in those times of failure or stress. So hopefully that can help you out. Yeah, fail forward. Thank you.